Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Outside the Playbook. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We are knocking on the door to 1K. Let's kick that thing in. But let's talk about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, and not in the same manner we always do. We're not going to do the same song and dance. We're not talking about who is responsible for the new wave of fans that's coming into the WNBA fan base. We're not talking about that. Maybe not exactly in the way that we normally do. This is actually to highlight the failures of the WNBA as a league in promoting its players outside of Caitlin Clark. Let's check out this video. Is PBD podcast and Stephen A. Smith. They sat down and had a conversation about some numbers. Check this out.
WNBA says they want to get paid more. They're saying this year they're going to make $1 billion. That's what they're saying, okay? For the first time ever. Now that Caitlin Clark is hurt for 2 weeks, did you see ticket prices? Insane. Let me read you the ticket prices. After Caitlin Clark's been hurt for 2 weeks, all right? So let's go through this. Caitlin Clark absence is having an immediate impact beyond the court. According to data shared by Yahoo Sports via TickPick, prices for 2 specific Indiana Fever away games against the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics dropped sharply after Clark was sidelined. Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14 from $41. What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting, as well as the hate and anger towards Caitlin Clark?
I'm going to address that last part first, all right? I am a basketball fan, okay? I'm a basketball fan. And the reason I didn't say I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, an Angel Reese fan, because those two phrases now get thrown in the same conversation as the rest of the negative basketball phrases. LeBron fans, Michael Jordan fans, Caitlin Clark fans, and Angel Reese fans. Like, those are negative things now. All right? You can't be a fan of one of those fan bases and you know, not see the inappropriate comments, the negative things that get said about each player, and, you know, the unreasonable amount of hate that gets thrown their way. Makes no sense. All right, keep it basketball. Let's keep it on a basketball court. If you have an issue with the way the media covers these players, fine. Deal with the media. Keep it basketball. All right. Now, moving on from that point, let's talk about the ticket sales. All right. He said that the ticket sales significantly dropped once CC got hurt. All right. Now she's sidelined for a couple weeks. The drop happens. Now everybody's looking around, and I guarantee you look at the comments, they're going to be like, well, why can't AR sell the tickets? This is not a reflection on AR. This is not a reflection on the Mystics. This is not a reflection on the Indiana Fever. This is a reflection on the WNBA's inability to market, inability to treat their players like stars, promote them as such. We watched women's basketball for the past couple years. Paige Beckers, Cece, Juju, AR, Flau'jae, a number of WNBA stars, okay? They were the topics of conversation on First Take. They were the topics of conversation on All the Smoke podcast. They were the topics of conversation on Gil's Arena. You didn't have to go far. You didn't have to look too deep to hear and see about what was going on in NCAA women's basketball. The WNBA is a whole nother story. You have a player in Asia Wilson who, a couple games into the season, was leading the league in all categories. She's a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, multiple-time champion, multiple times All-Star, right? How is it so impossible for you to market a dominant force like that when she is the face of your league? Now, look, Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal player, a great player, And you know what? You can say this, okay? There's a number of players who contribute to the influx of fans, and then there's one person who is the face of the movement. CC is the face of the movement. She's moving the needle in other ways. But if you want to be a sustainable league, you have got to understand how to market all of your stars the same way you market the person who is the face of a movement. NBA, LeBron James. Then you have Kevin Durant. Then you have Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, SGA. You have multiple other stars, but you have the guy that is a face of the whole marketing movement for the NBA. We know who the face of the league is, right? They still know how to market their other players. The WNBA has no clue how to do this. And here's a big example as to why I know that to be a fact. Looking at, the internet, things pop up, you're just scrolling, right? And I came across this. This is very alarming. If you can't read it, it says the WNBA scheduled 2 games on the NBA Finals day, but didn't schedule any games the day before the finals when absolutely nothing else was on TV to watch. The most clueless league in the world. And I am forced to agree. I'm sitting here, I'm like, you know what? They can't be that dumb, right? Looking at WNBA. The NBA Finals game was June 5th, all right? Phenomenal game, first of all. Indiana Pacers came back from, basically being blown out the whole game. 24 turnovers. They get hot, make timely shots, get stops. Halliburton hits a crazy game winner, right? But point being, Thursday, June 5th, you should have nothing going on. You should not be playing that day. You guys should have the day off. And this is not about, how do I put this? A lot of times they're going to see it as, well, no, we have a league too. We have fans too. No, this is about knowing when and when not to. This is knowing when to maximize your audience and how to do so. June 5th is absolutely no way you should be playing on that day, and you don't have a single game going on June 4th. Make it make sense. There's going to be no NBA that day. There's no football for another couple of months. You have nothing to compete with, really. Nothing. Not even wrestling, right? Nothing going on June 4th. But look at the matchups, right? Look at the matchups. So Sunday is June 8th. Sunday, June 8th, is also game 2 of the NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Albeit, the game is at 4 p.m. and the game for the NBA Finals at 8:30 p.m. I'm not even going to take the chance. I am scheduling nothing that entire day. Nothing. Because guess what? You have Dallas playing against Minnesota. You have Kalir playing against Paige Beckers. 2 stars. You market the heck out of that. Heck, you have maybe one or both of them at the NBA Finals game sitting courtside. They're going to end up on camera. You talk about them, who they are. You say, hey, they have a key matchup coming up, such and such. You find different ways to make sure you are seen, and also you find ways to make sure you're not competing with the biggest stage in basketball. It just doesn't make sense the way you can fumble that situation like that. But moving on to the next part of this conversation, right? They're starting to talk about, the profits and things like that and the numbers. It's going to circle back to the typical conversation of the WNBA is not going to make any money.
Dollars this year, you lose the argument.
Okay.
If the WNBA
That's the biggest if ever.
Okay. What is WNBA
If my
projected to
grandma
make this year?
had she'd be my
Here
grandpa.
we go. Listen, guy. It's projecting that this year WNBA is going to make $1 billion.
Is that profit or revenue?
It doesn't matter. You'll find a way to increase EBITDA, driven by surge in popularity, increase revenue from ticket sales, merchandise, and television deals, particularly due to the impact of the players like Caitlin Clark. The league's revenue is expected to grow significantly with forecasts suggesting a global market value exceeding $1 billion.
Okay.
This is going in that direction.
It's going in the right
It's been
direction.
25 years where they haven't made a penny.
But
So now all of a sudden you want to be like, maybe this year.
time out. It
That's
was
not.
growing before she arrived, and then it elevated to
Okay.
another level once she's arrived.
We'll
and she's
see.
not going anywhere anytime
We'll
soon.
see.
And, oh, by the way, remember this name.
Okay.
Juju Watkins
Okay.
out of USC.
I seen her. Freshman, great
Get well.
player.
Big
Get
catch.
well.
Tore
She can
ACL.
ball.
Get well,
Tore
Juju.
ACL in the NCAA tournament last year. You know, she's special. And I'm just
Okay.
telling you, you're going to
I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Juju Watkins, in my opinion, second coming of our Carmelo Anthony, but she's gonna pick up where Maya Moore left off in her career. That's just my opinion on that.
you're going to see the league continue
Who
to grow.
wins this game? Ready? WNBA All-Star versus the best high school players ABC Nike game. High school Ben versus WNBA player best players.
Here's my
Who
response.
wins?
Here's my response to that. I think it would be the high school, but I would say this to you.
Because you're right.
Don't underestimate women and the growing support they're providing to the WNBA. Remember, anything successful, you usually have the women behind it supporting the
Don't
product.
underestimate the NBA subsidizing.
The NBA and the NFL
Yes.
went to another level once they appealed more to women.
Now let's talk about this this whole argument about the inability to promote, the inability to market, the inability to make their stars seem like a big deal outside of Caitlin Clark, right? She has a gravity surrounding her. Other outlets, other media outlets, other topics of conversation really pale in comparison to the amount of views that she's bringing to the table, right? How do you make sure a matchup, for example, Paige Beckers versus Kalir, that's coming up, right? How do you make that a big deal? All right? How do you make that seem like it means something? Anytime you have a big matchup, a primetime matchup, you have it on a specific channel, and you have a specific crew talking about it, and then the media leading up to it will hype it up, right? So, for example, if we have a Lakers versus Celtics game, we're not going to have a situation where we got to look up NBA TV or have NBA League Pass to watch that game. It's going to be on NBA on TNT. The Inside the NBA crew, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to talk about the history of the Lakers, the history of the Celtics. They're probably going to talk about, talk to some former Celtics players, some former Lakers players, including Shaquille O'Neal, and talk about the meaning of it and then the grand scheme of it in terms of what does it mean for their season and the potential clash they could have in the NBA. This is what they do surrounding big matchups, right? And then sometimes there's occasions where you have a certain, crew calling the game. You're not going to have, a B team calling a Lakers Celtics game. You're going to have, Kevin Harlan, Marv Albert, Reggie Miller. They're going to be calling the game because they're the A team, right? When you have a big marquee matchup in the WNBA, let's say you bring in a guest like Gilbert Arenas, who has one of the top basketball podcasts in the world right now, if not the top podcast. Maybe somebody like Matt Barnes from All the Smoke. You bring in a legendary WNBA figure, and you have your typical crew. So you can add something to it to make sure everybody understands, oh, Gil pulled up, this is special, because it wouldn't be a cliche thing. It wouldn't be a cliche thing. Gil's Arena, they have heavily promoted the WNBA, and they heavily go to these games. Not just Gil showing up one night and Nick Young. No, the whole crew will show up to a WNBA game and sit courtside, right? So you have to make sure the promotion leading up to the game, the production when it's time for the game, the crew you have calling the game, and the individuals you have doing the halftime and the post-game show to make sure it feels like it is a big deal, it's a big game, it's a big night in the league. You can't schedule two games on the same night that the NBA Finals is happening because nobody will know, and nobody's going to talk about you. Nobody's going to pay attention to you. When Caitlin Clark comes back, obviously all of these numbers are going to jump back through the roof. That's the way it goes. She's the cash cow, right? But you got to feel like, how come you can't market a Asia Wilson, who's the best player in the league, dominating? They're 4-2 right now. She's averaging 23, 10, and 5. But you can't figure out a way to market that. You can't find a way to market Kalir. You can't find a way to market, Stewie. And Ionescu is in a different, sort of mode when it comes to the media, because everybody recognizes the connection she has to the Bryant family. And, her shoes are very popular amongst high school athletes right now. So she's kind of in a different mode. She's like, there's an asterisk next to her. But as far as everybody else goes, the WNBA simply has to take the ability that they have to market Caitlin Clark, copy and paste it to everything else that they do as far as the league, and also make sure they highlight the big time prime time games and bring in people to promote these games the same way First Take covers Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the same way All the Smoke talks about it, the same way Gil's Arena does it. And you're going to start to see more eyes and focus on the league as a whole, not just when Caitlin Clark is playing, not when it's CC versus AR and another, flagrant foul happens, and now all of a sudden, Aguma K, Stephen A, McNutt, all of them are arguing over, was it, that shouldn't be the only time we talking about this league. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what the WNBA can do to make sure they are successful going forward and making money year after year after year. And y'all better keep it respectful. That's one more for the good guys.